What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music. And today on my show, I'm starting a new series. And this series is going to be adventurous, I will say. And it's essentially, why we love bands or why we dislike them. And essentially what we'll do every episode is basically talk about a particular band and kind of dissect and figure out why people like them and why people dislike them. Now, this isn't the type of thing where we're going to knock a band because, let's be honest, a lot of the bands that we're going to talk about are extremely successful. And a lot of these bands, I'm sure before pre-COVID that they were doing great business for themselves. And the other thing too is the different strokes for different folks. But it's also a good conversation to kind of examine particular sides of music and why we like them, what makes us like them, what also makes us dislike them, and why we don't vibe with them at all, So today we're talking about the band Bad Wolves, man, and I'd really like everybody's opinion on this one. Kind of tell us what you think, man. Tell me what you'd like to see band wise. I did start a kind of like a post where we got a few bands, man, and I got a few ideas for a few episodes. So, I'd really like to hear what everybody's opinion on how this episode comes out, man. Remember, if you'd like to be a guest on my show or you have a show idea for me, check me out on Twitter at Podcast of Blue, on Instagram and Facebook at Blue Presents a Podcast, man. And before we get started with today's show, man, here on why you should be listening to The Roads We Travel from my boy, AJ Pelletier.
Hey everyone, AJ Pelletier here, and I'm here to talk to you about my podcast, The Roads We've Traveled. It's a podcast where every week I talk to guests and friends from music, art, comedy, and more about their journeys through life, their struggles, their joys, and everything in between. You also get to know a little bit more about me and my journey as well. So if you like podcasts about good conversations about life, or maybe you're just looking to relate to somebody about some things you may be going through as well, then The Roads We've Traveled is the podcast for you. Subscribe to us today on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you guys get your podcasts from. Check us out and subscribe to us on YouTube. And check us out at facebook.com/Roads We've Traveled Podcast. All right, everyone. Thanks.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music. And today, man, we are talking about a series I've decided to create after I have posted something online and I got a lot of reactions from. It's going to be called Why We Hate Them, Why We Love Them. And we're going to examine bands that certain people hate really bad or certain people really love a lot. And today on my show, as a guest as well, to sit here and talk about these things, is my good friend, the big homie, Brandon Cooper. What's up, Brandon?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, man, how's everything going, man?
It's going good.
Yeah, man. Last week we had Mark on, and obviously there was some talk about you because you've helped Mark put together his new EP, man, and I know you got a chance to listen to the show. So what did you think, man?
I loved it, and he's 100% right. If I don't like something, I am going to delete it and make him do it again until I'm happy.
You know what's funny is he said something you said, and I could totally imagine hearing it come out of your mouth. No, it's perfect, man. Other than that, man, I know you're working on some things with Worm Shepherd. Is there any little things we can get out of you before we get started on the topic?
Oh man,
whatever you can tell.
All right, we got 2 songs left to mix until the album is done.
Okay.
We got plans for a music video.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a shit ton of merch coming.
Oh, I can't wait for that, man. Definitely. If you haven't checked out Worm Shepherd, definitely check them out on Facebook and Instagram, man. Check those guys out. I'm telling you, know them before they blow the fuck up, okay? For real, man. And anything else you want to add, man? Anything you want to get into before we get started on this, man?
I'm working on a couple other projects.
Okay.
Interested in hearing about it.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. Remember, also, anybody who is a hip-hop artist, hit Brandon up, man. He started a little new thing. He's doing some hip-hop beats and some R&B beats, man. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I just decided a few weeks ago that I need to diverse myself in some other genres.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started putting together some samples and some beats and stuff, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to post them up and see what happens. But I've gotten some good feedback, and my goal is to try and make like 1 or 2 every week.
Okay.
Just so there's something there.
And if I'm not mistaken, you've got a YouTube and an Instagram, CT9 Beats.
Correct.
All right, man. Yeah, and check those guys. Check him out, man. If you're a hip hop artist or an R&B artist, or you're a metalhead and you want to see what else he can do, check it out for real.
Yeah, and then I got like 2 other things I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't really been talked about, but one I'm doing is called Disfiguring the Silhouette.
Ooh.
Which is going to be like a very down-tempo, deathcore, slammy kind of thing.
Okay. Are you doing that with someone, or is that just something you're working on the
yep.
side with?
I'm doing it with a vocalist who I've known for about almost 10 years now.
Oh, that's gonna be good, man.
His name is Anton, so we're getting things started on that. And then I'm working on another project with a friend of mine in New Jersey and a friend of mine in Pennsylvania. And that is called, like, Zhao Terra.
Okay.
And
what's that going to sound like?
I don't know. It's going to be very weird. It's going to be a mixture of, like, Spite, Hatebreed, and After the Burial.
Whoa, yeah, what a combo. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be different.
Oh, yeah, that old school, new school, and then technical shit. Wow, yeah, that's a hell of a sandwich you got there, brother.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. So today I've got you on, man, so me and you can kind of go back and forth and try to figure out why people love or why people hate the band Bad Wolves. And I remember they kind of came on my radar after me and you had a conversation, and the song Officer Down was, I think, the first song I heard from them. What was the first time you heard Bad Wolves?
The first time I heard them is when my stepdad told me about this band on Sirius Radio, and he sent me the link to one of their songs, and I loved it. It was called Learn to Live.
Okay. Yeah, I can't remember hearing that one. I'm sure I've heard both records. I even heard the one they dropped last year because I didn't even realize they had dropped one in this week. I just kind of sat back and was just like, okay, let me check this out and whatnot. So
they're very different from each other.
Yes, extremely, extremely. And I think that's kind of interesting. So real quick, just to kind of give you guys an idea, Bad Wolves is American metal. I would say probably more of the new modern style of metal, if you will, with some metalcore influences. Obviously, you've got Doc from oh shit,
God forbid.
Yeah, God forbid. Yeah, damn, that one slipped my mind. Thanks for the save. That's why you're on the show. And they formed in 2007, and I think really a lot of, I guess they came on people's radars with the Cranberries cover of Zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they kind of like hit with that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, what I think they do good, and then you can kind of fill in, and we can kind of go back and forth and talk about those things, and then we can talk about some of the things they kind of do bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So especially on that first record, I will say they took some more chances. I think you would kind of agree, because a lot of the record sounds completely different. Like when I heard Officer Down, I was like, yo, this is slamming. This is really good. And then the next song came on, and I was just like, I don't even feel like I'm listening to the same band. Like, for real.
I could agree.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of you got that much talent in a room, and I think you are just trying to feel things out for that first record.
Sure.
And I like I said, with having someone like Doc, who's probably in one of the most identifiable, basically all black metalcore band in God Forbid, you're getting many different influences. So I think with that perspective, the record was kind of going to be all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And just to kind of like, if I'm not mistaken, look at the lineup here. And some of these bands, some of the people from these bands, you've got an ex-Devil Driver member, you know, Doc from God Forbid, and then Chris Kane. Holy shit, I didn't even realize Chris Kane is in this band. And anybody who doesn't know who Chris Kane is, Chris Kane was the guitarist in For the Fallen Dreams for a while, as well as I
didn't even know that.
Yeah, he was also the guitar player in Bury Your Dead. And then you've got the bassist from In This Moment and Scar the Martyr. And apparently they're managed by the same guy who manages Five Finger Death Punch. So
Zoltan.
Yes. Zoltan, the boy Zoltan, for real. That is crazy. That and here you go. So here, like, let's look at it. Devil Driver, I would say, probably has some, modern metal / metalcore influences. God Forbid, definitely metalcore. For the Fallen Dreams, Bury Your Dead, metalcore. And then you've got In This Moment, which is kind of more modern metal. And I'm sure there's kind of like a range, like they all, and this is the part that kind of like gets me sometimes when people, this goes back to the discussion of when people say, oh, are you listening to metal? And while you are listening, basically to a form of metal, it's more specific than that. You get what I'm saying? So like, certain people are just like, oh, what are you listening to? And I'll say the band and like, oh, okay, I'm taking a guess they're a metal band. And I was like, yeah, because I don't want to go in the fact that no, it's a deathcore band, or it's a downbeat band, or it's a slam core band, or, whatever core you want to insert there. Because they'll just look at you and go, oh, it's just metal because they're screaming and playing loud guitars.
Right.
So in listening to that, what do you think your first opinion of that record is? That first record, at least.
The things that I really love about it are the riffs. Mm-hmm. I really think they're very tight as a group. Mm-hmm. The music really is probably the most that I love. Mm-hmm. I love Tommy Vex singing. Mm-hmm. But the only thing I really don't like are his lyrics.
I'd have to say very generic in that way. And I think Tommy Vex is actually a pretty good vocalist in the ability to sing and scream. I think he does very well. And if there's anything I can say is a good strength for these guys, it's the fact that Tommy Vex is a really good, strong vocalist, singing and screaming. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But yeah, the lyrics did nothing for me, except for Officer Down. I get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But then that brings me to like their newest record, right? Okay. So they have a song called like LA Song. And mm-hmm. like right before this breakdown hits, he screams, "The rent is too high." Like, to me, that's just like, okay. My rent is too high too.
No, I get where you're coming from. I think in the context of understanding where Tommy might, and I hear you say that when you think about some of the, so that tackles into another subject. Mosh calls, like really think about some of the things you hear, like mosh call wise. I mean, I remember Life Ruiner, fuck this, fuck that, fuck your fucking life. It's like still one of my favorite breakdowns, but it's so stupid though. It's literally one of my favorite calls before a breakdown. So I guess I can kind of get that the reason why he said that is, I'm taking a guess, LA Song. He's talking about living in Los Angeles, maybe possibly talking about the difficulties and challenges in living in Las Vegas, I guess.
I guess so. I mean, I don't know. I'm telling you, like, that dude could sing the phone book, and it'll be beautiful and like heavy at the same time. But when I go and read the lyrics, I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, here's the thing.
Not all songs, though.
Yeah,
not all.
Yeah, and I think and that's the thing about Tommy. He is such a strong vocalist. He really is. And anybody who doesn't recognize that just doesn't get music at all. I don't care if you don't like this band. If you don't recognize Tommy Vex as a good vocalist, I've got some questions about you, because he is a good vocalist.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Well, some people feel differently about his life decisions, though.
Well.
And that's a whole nother other subject. Now, I've only heard 2 or 3 songs off the new record, and I will say what it sounded like was they went for more of a hard rock sound. And now that I really think about it, and in reading who manages them, I can kind of see there being an influence. You get what I'm saying? Where it's
Absolutely.
just like, where like he could be like, hey guys, this is how Five Finger does it. Check it out. You know what I'm saying? Because if you really think about it, okay, so I'm just going to admit it. In the beginning, the first record, Five Finger Death Punch, I was about that shit. I really was.
Absolutely.
Because
Bleeding, White Knuckles, absolutely.
Because Ivan Moody is another great fucking vocalist. If you really, really think about it, he is a strong vocalist. After that, that second record, that third record, and then continuing on, I think they found something that works for them, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it went from being, ooh, this is a good piece of chicken, man. It's got some real good spice, to just, what is this dry boiled piece of meat? It just became,
it's like the steak that's like so well done.
Oh man, yeah, like there's no pink in it. It's tougher than like a leather wallet.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's the sad part, So I got into, obviously before we were talking about Divine Heresy was the first time I ever heard Tommy Vex. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I thought they did some really good things on their record. Obviously having Dino of Fear Factory, that elevates you right off the rip. And then on top of that, they had some really good musicians as well as, Tommy on vocals. So kind of rough how that went. And then I heard him in the Westfield Massacre, which I don't know if you've ever heard that project.
I heard a few songs.
Okay. So he's, I believe he's on their 2006 record, which has a really controversial image on the front of it. It's a girl hanging from a tree, which I guess got them a lot of backlash for said album cover.
Okay.
But the record is solid. It is really, really good. I think it almost, even though I would say it's more modern metal, it almost verges into new age metalcore, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Some of those elements of new metal, some of the elements of metalcore. The riffs they're tight, they're sick. I would suggest listening to them, because I'm going to tell you right now, they got the vocalist, after Tommy left, they got the vocalist who was the vocalist of Snot. And I don't know if you've ever heard that band.
No.
Not my biggest thing, and they released a song called Famine, which I thought was absolutely amazing. And I was like, oh, okay, this band's gonna be okay, because Tommy's not there anymore. Here's this song. This song sounds fucking amazing. Has one of those choruses where you don't know why you really like it, but you are really into it. You know what I'm saying? Then I heard the record and I was just like, you know what this is missing? Tommy Vex.
Yeah.
This is missing Tommy Vex. And I know we're kind of going off in like a little bit of a different direction, but what I'm talking about is the impact of him as a vocalist and how he affects this band as well too. You know what I'm saying? Yes. And I think the other side to this is his personality is what makes people dislike this band as well. 'Cause let's face it, he's a good looking dude. You know what I'm saying? My wife thinks he's hot. Yeah. It is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and deny her. He's a good looking guy. But at the same time, some things that he's done have not gone over well, especially like when he left Divine Heresy. It was a messy deal between him and Dino. And if I'm not mistaken, I remember, and don't quote me on this now because I don't want to be nailed to the cross for this, but I do believe there was a public display in which he threatened Dino in front of his wife, and it led to a whole rash of issues.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, man, and it kind of just sucks a little bit, man, because like I said, even with good vocals, that's not cool either. You know what I'm saying? And I think some people, some people, they're not cool with stuff like that, man. And no offense, if you've seen the dude, he's a fucking mountain of a man. I'd be intimidated. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's built like a brick shit house.
Yeah, and then there's also some things, also the flip side of that, Tommy's, let's just not nail it just on Tommy being an asshole, but it sounds like also Dino was giving him some issues as well too. And it's, I don't know, man, it just kind of crazy,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and he, like I said, he's a good vocalist, and I don't know if you know, but he actually sings a WWE song now.
Really?
Yes, there's a character called he was called King Corbin. And man, it is the perfect song. And so here's the other thing too, and just to kind of tie that together, the reason why he did Baron Corbin's song, WWE wrestler, Baron Corbin used to date Maria from In This Moment, and that's how they met.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So you can kind of get that tied together and be like, oh, that's crazy, whatever the case is. But like I said, him in Westfield Massacre, I think, was a good representation of him and what they can do musically. But oh man, that first record is hard to listen to. That second record, it does sound like they found their sound, but I feel like they're playing little brother to Five Finger Death Punch a little bit.
I do agree. So, like, with it, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but you know how Ivan Moody does, like, his vocal melodies?
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Vex, like, does the same thing.
Yeah.
In a way. And also, like, to me, it sounds like some of their guitar tones are kind of the same.
Mm-hmm.
Not when Bad Wolves is doing their, like, genty stuff,
mm-hmm.
but they're more, like, power chord kind of stuff.
Okay.
But it reminds me, I think that's why people don't like them as much, because they are like Five Finger Death Punch's like little brother.
Yeah. They do, like I said, they do some experimental stuff, but there's a blatant connection, and obviously it seems like it's a connection through management as well too, that
mm-hmm.
What works at McDonald's can work at Burger King too, if you will. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm over here hitting you with the food references, but I mean, yeah, it's just like, okay, well, they put this sauce on here. Well, why don't you just put the same sauce on there and call it something else?
Right. Right.
And that's the sad part, because I think there's so much, like what I just listed off for former bands, there's so much fucking talent there, man. Like, these guys should be able to come up with something unique, as well as Tommy, with as great range that he has, should be able to come up with something a little bit more digestible, if you will.
Sure.
And
absolutely.
And I think that's kind of like, it kind of sucks, man, because you hear a band like this and you get kind of excited. And I can understand some people in the metal scene probably are like, okay, Tommy Vex in a new band, that's sick. Whatever the case is, or Tommy Vex, ooh, in a new band, disgusting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I just, when it comes to personality and then it comes to music, certain people, me and you want different things out of music. You get what I'm saying? Like, we have a similar taste in music, but there are certain bands that you listen to that I would never listen to, and there are certain bands I listen to I know for sure you wouldn't listen to. You know what I'm saying? But that's the beautiful thing about life. But also at the same time, you can kind of understand when certain bands get a massive amount of hate or they get a massive amount of love. And I think, like I said, this is what I want this series to be like. I'm analyzing those reasons why people are like, who the fuck is this? Why the fuck should I care? Or, man, I love these guys. Do your worst. You know what I'm saying? Because this is one of those bands, and believe me, when I was reading those comments from everyone, there were a lot of bands I was like highly confused. Someone said a band that is so sacrilege that I'm telling you right now, I love you, Anthony, but me and you're going to meet in the streets, brother, for that one.
Wait, what?
Yo, he said kill switch, and I was like, yo, fight me.
How do you even say something like that?
Oh my God,
now
bro.
I want to fight him.
No, I got love for Ant, man. Different strokes, different folks, man. You know, like, it's one of those things, man. You know, there's a YouTuber I like who does wrestling, and he's like what you like, don't be a dick, but I'm sorry, I gotta be a dick on this one.
Yeah, that's like you don't like the Incarnate album, and that's one of my personal favorites.
Oh, anyways, we're going off subject. But so, I mean, I don't really know if we should end this with what do you think they could do better? Because, I mean, to be honest with you, those guys are successful, and we're just doing stuff in our house. You know what I'm saying? We're not at that level.
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion, the reason why people connect with them is because Tommy Vex is extremely charismatic. His stage presence is kick ass. I think, like I said, I think he's a great fucking vocalist. But I also think that the problem with them as well is the fact that they appeal to that red state military-ish dude, which there's nothing wrong with that. I've got plenty of friends who are in the military, but there's I guess you would say there's a certain subset that are kind of like on the bro tip, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that's some of what alienates people because I don't know. And I don't know if I want to say that because I know people of that audience and they're good people, but there are some people in that audience that are kind of dickish. You know what I'm saying? And that sometimes, even just the experience of that can be off-putting to someone who would otherwise rather enjoy that music. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And I also think, you know, when you're trying to build a fan base, the one thing you want to do is provide inclusiveness for everybody. And it's not saying that Bad Wolves does not provide inclusiveness. If you really think about it, shout out to having more than one black dude in the band, for real.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
That's an awesome thing.
Yeah, sure. Man, for real. More diversity in metal because a lot of people don't realize that, you know, just because it's metal doesn't mean it's just white people music. It's everybody's music. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It doesn't matter who you are, what you look like. It's everybody's music. And to be perfectly honest with you, it is an evolution of rock music it was started by Chuck Berry, who's black. You know what I'm saying? And it's molded, it's changed, it's things have been added and stuff like that. And once again, we're going off on a whole other tangent. But I just want to say that, you know, I'm not saying that Bad Wolves isn't inviting. They are inviting. You should want to like this band. But I'm saying maybe the crowd of people who enjoy this band may not be so. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's not an opinion of everybody, but there are some people, you know, that, you know, when you go to a show like this, you would expect are going to start shoulder blocking each other like they're playing Oklahoma at a football drill. You know what I'm saying? Which, I mean, I'm sure people will knock people who hardcore dance because, you know, my dad called it invisible ninja fighting. There you go. Boom. Yeah. So I'm sure there's people who feel a particular way about that, but also at the same time, you know, there's a certain, with these kind of guys, I'm sure, you know, once alcohol gets involved, the douchebaggery level hits a certain level of just, I would rather not be at your show.
Right. It's funny because, so with Bad Wolves, like they've gone really commercial on their last album. Mm-hmm. And, you know, some of it is actually really good. They have a song called Sober. Mm-hmm. It's like this acoustic song about like addiction and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it, like that song right there, that's probably one of my favorites on that album. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, like that they're so they're just going to keep blowing up. I think that they, mm-hmm. you know, that Zoltan guy or whatever he's got them like, I don't even know.
Like, yeah, probably like on a track of like, okay, so this is how they did it. Let's just mimic that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's success, if you will. And there's no knocking it because, to be honest with you, as much as we're making fun of Five Finger Death Punch, we're making fun of the fact that they make generic music, but we cannot make fun of the fact that they make fucking bank. Like, let's be honest. Those dudes are having sellouts. Those dudes are having, thousands of people show up to their shows to see those guys. So while we're sitting here saying these are some of the reasons why some people may hate them or some people may like them, you have to respect them because they're out there doing what some of us wish we could do, making a really good living making music. And like I said, this series isn't about knocking down the band. It's more to analyze why some of us enjoy bands like this and why some of us, we can kind of see why some people don't like these kind of bands. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And like I said, you got to put respect on any band who is out there making a true, honest living just playing music. But also at the same time, we can still talk about how shitty their music is.
Yeah.
I think and I think to me, I think that's probably one of my only really knocks on them is that they're writing generic music. You know what I'm saying? Though I will say I'm not like a super huge fan of the zombie cover. You can recognize the talent and ability to take a song like that and make it what it was, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And once again, we're living in a culture too where people are taking songs that are already established and covering them and kind of putting a different shade or a different brushstroke on what that would sound like in a more heavier setting, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like one of my favorite songs from their first album is called Toast to the Ghost.
Toast.
Have you ever heard that one?
Yo, can we talk about these song titles though? Like, hold on, I feel like I gotta pull this up now. Now I gotta pull this up because some of these song titles are a little fucking hilarious to me. So they have two albums, Disobey and then Nation, but Nation is an abbreviation for something. Yeah, Toast to the Ghost. Okay, let's look at this track list. Learn to Live, No Masters, obviously. And once again, okay, so I have this question to pose to you. Why did they put a cover the fourth song in? Hasn't always a cover been like the last song on the album or like a hidden track?
Yeah, like a bonus or something like that.
So weird. Better the Devil, Jesus Slaves, holy shit.
That song is actually pretty good, I'm not gonna lie.
Hear Me Now, Truth or Dare, The Conversation, Shapeshifter, and the last song, Toast to the Ghosts. Which, I don't know if you know, but on their vinyl, they have 3 other songs called I Swear, Blood N Bone, not Blood and Bone, Blood N Bone, and Pacifico.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's apparently available only on their vinyl. That is, oh man. And here, like, okay, so another conversation we're going to have here is song titles, man. These are kind of a little rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, these are a little rough. Yeah, I'm looking at the second album, Nation, which I'm wondering what that stands for.
I don't know what it stands for either.
Yeah, Nation. I'm not seeing nothing here that says anything here about what that actually stands for, but I'm looking at the song titles. I'll Be There, which that sounds like I don't know why I think like some 90s R&B group. No Messiah, Learn to Walk, Killing Me Softly. Let me tell you a song title that's been played out is Killing Me Softly. I can think of 3 bands right now, and I swear, I want to say there's a Bury Your Dead song. There is, I want to say, an Evergreen Terrace song, possibly, with similar verbiage. And I mean, the Fugees.
That's who it was, yeah, the Fugees.
Yeah, the
I was
Fugees.
trying to think of who that was.
Better Off This Way, Foe or Friend, which is another played out title. Sober, Back in the Days, The Consumerist, which... if that song's not about how people spend too much money, I don't know what it could possibly be about. Heaven So Heartless, Crying Game, which sounds like a movie, and LA Song. So, yeah, some generic titles for some generic songs, man. I don't know, man. it's an interesting look at how certain bands may think, and, you know, they may be sitting there just like, you know, like I said, Zoltan may have a plan for these guys. Like, here is how, you know, Five Finger did this. Let me show you, let me pull up some maps and graphs and, you know, PowerPoints to show you how to get there. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, we can't knock how these guys are making money hand over fist, but I can definitely knock how generic that shit sounds.
Yeah, I think that's what I dislike about them. I want more. I want more like some of the first album stuff, not like the commercial stuff.
Yeah,
I think anything commercial, I think Tommy Vex should do like on his own. Like they have a Patreon where they did like a Linkin Park cover. I mean, it gave me chills.
Yeah,
like listening to that, it was amazing. He did like a Post Malone cover. Like that's the stuff I see him doing, and I see him doing it extremely well.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely look into the once again, like I said, it's just when you hear the formers that the bands that some of these guys were in, you expect more. I don't know why. I know that's hard and weird to say, but you expect more because the talent level's there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a lot of those bands are nothing to sniff at, man. They're not a lot to want to sit back and think, you know, hey, you know, these are not successful bands. You know what I'm saying? So where the fuck do you get off saying that there should be more? In actuality, all those guys, every band that those guys were in have proved themselves above and beyond. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it just goes back to, you know, here's all the talent in the room. It's like LeBron, MJ, you know, Derrick Rose in his prime, you know, some of these good basketball players that are like stupid good right now, all on the same team, but they fucking lose every game. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It doesn't make any sense that there's that much talent, and it just, you know, but anyways, man, we'll give some final thoughts, I guess. You know, is there anything you know, like you just said something about along the lines of, you know, you wish they would stick to some more stuff in the album. Is there anything specifically like you think they should stick to more in the album, on the first album, like songs maybe?
I think they should stop playing around with different key changes in a song.
You know them better than I do, because I don't know I don't know shit about a key change.
Yeah, no, like there's a few songs where like it's in like one key and then it totally shifts and it's like, wait, what? Don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, personally, to me, if you can pull the transition off, I don't see any reason why not. But I can kind of understand where like the transition is so awkward. It goes from, you know, one thing to the next. And there's a lot of bands who do it well, and there's a lot of bands who do not do it well, you know? And
yeah, that they do it well, but I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm very picky. I don't know what to say.
I think that, okay, so I don't think they should do more stuff political, like Officer Down, but I do think they should do more of something along the lines of the sound of Officer Down. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. There's no doubt. They created their own sound. You hear, like, I say this to everyone. You put on the radio, it could be a guitar tone, it could be whatever, and, like, you know it's like Avenged Sevenfold, right? From the solo. Same thing with Bad Wolves. Like, I can listen with my eyes closed and be like, that's Bad Wolves.
Wow. Yeah, no, and I'm sure there's certain people who pick up on stuff like that, and it's almost along the lines of like when you hear that bass tone that Fieldly from Korn uses, and you know it's a Korn song.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, similar thought process. Yeah, man, I just, like I said, I think that, you know, maybe they should venture out more, because clearly the talent that they have there could do that. There is no telling that, but it just, you know, maybe they are just following that Five Finger Death Punch march.
Yeah, they should hop off.
Yeah, man, it is what it is. But thank you, Brandon, for joining me, man, to talk about this subject, man. And let us know what you think, man. Tell us why you like Bad Wolves, or tell us why you don't like Bad Wolves, man. And, you know, just kind of, you know, give us your thoughts and opinions, and, you know, maybe me or Brandon will respond to you and kind of, talk back and forth. And once again, man, this isn't like a hate session, or this isn't like a uber love session. This is more of just kind of examining why we like things the way that we like them. Wouldn't you agree, Brandon?
I 100% agree.
All right, man. So, but anyways, thank you, Brandon, for joining me, man. And I hope you guys enjoy this show, man. Check us out later. All right, man?
All right, man. Thank you.
No, love you, man. Peace.
Love you too.